How you doing, everybody? Cheers for coming. This is the AGM from 22 to 23 for the Tayside Trail Association.
It's been a year.
Yeah, so basically, I suppose it's an update. Really, we did this last year, and it's just a bit of an update, really. So I'm Aaron Gray. I'm the current chair of the Tayside Trail Association.
Adam, what is my role?
He's the secretary.
That's the one.
I'm Grant, I was the treasurer.
I'm Mike and I am the treasurer.
Yeah, so transient group. Right, so we'll get straight into it. I've got like a kind of progress report. It's really just to fill you in on what we've been doing the last year. Because obviously it's probably not that obvious, you know, from the outside looking in. So, but we've been very busy. Well, there is a progress report. So I'll just rattle through it, just so you know how bloody busy we've been. So this time last year, so February last year, we had an AGM at Perth Water Sports Club. We invited members of the public, pretty similar to this. We invited members of the public to our first AGM to hear a progress report and basically to express an interest in kind of getting involved with the TTA. At that time last year, basically this time last year, we felt like we'd kind of run out of steam because it was really just the four of us, and we just needed to bring in more people, kind of widen the skill set, inject a bit of enthusiasm again, new ideas, all that sort of thing, try and push the TTA forward. So at the AGM last year, we had loads of people offering to help us out, help to kind of build a website, help us to do a bit of fundraising, help with social media, and we had people that were interested in becoming trail coordinators to help us with big days. So also in February, we had a local company, Harvest Engineering, manufactured a couple of prototype trail tools for us to test out before we bought a job lot. So they supplied them at cost price. Also in February, we started discussions with the people that had come to the AGM to put everybody who was interested in becoming a trail coordinator, to put them through this brand new dirt training course. And that would basically allow us to do more dig days, because you need to have a qualified trail coordinator to lead those. So moving on to March, we opened a TTA PayPal account so we could start taking donations, and we set up a Linktree page, whatever that is. Then we did a couple of Duchney maintenance, trail maintenance days with a new members present. Also in March, we had a few fundraising meetings with the new members, just to see how we could maybe raise some funds for buying tools, getting insurance, all that sort of thing. So moving on to April, we had a new TTA logo designed from Ride It Clothing. Took the job lot of trail tools from Harvest Engineering, and then we held dig days at Dunkeld and Barlow as part of IMBA's Take Care of Your Trails and Trash Free Trails Spring Clean. At the end of April, we started building a new website for the TTA. So May, we had dig days in Duchney as part of Take Care of Your Trails, Trash Free Trails Spring Clean. Also in May, we brought hotlines up, and they did something like a kind of giving back day at Pitmedden. So we had, how many do we have, like 20 people or something like that?
I think it's in total at the end, about 20.
So we had about 20 people from Hotlines, the kind of parts distributor. They helped us to sort out some overgrown vegetation and do some drainage works in Pitmedden. And then we had a nice tasty barbecue and went for a bike ride. Moving on to June. What did we do in June? So there was a new house being built at the bottom of one of the trail exits up at Canoe. So Canoe and Dukeney Trail crew installed a gate at the bottom of Bernie Clifton. After discussing that with Perth and Canos Ranger, just there were bike riders were fleeing out at speed just into their kind of driveway. So we've formed a gate there just to make it a bit safer. Also in June, the new website went live for the TTA. We had meetings to discuss more fundraising opportunities, design a new TTA jersey, what the website really needed and how to tweak that. And then we had a couple of Pitmedden big days in June as well. Still awake? Yeah. So July, Highland Perth Recycling transferred the Trail Karma account to the TTA so that we could accept donations via Trail Forks. Also in July, we had big days in Dunkeld and Pitmedden. Then we had TTA volunteers were trained by Perth and Canos Green Space to use petrol strimmers and pedestrian flails. And we cut the overgrown vegetation back on the Coronation Path. So that was quite a good benefit to all forest users really. Also in July, we had the new TTA jerseys and mugs designed and launched, and we started taking pre-orders for all the merchandise. We were taking pre-orders because we didn't have any money to buy them. So we had to get the money in from people so we could actually buy them. Moving on to August, more TTA volunteers were trained by Perth and Canos Green Space to use strimmers and pedestrian flails. And then that was, the training was over at Corsey Hill and Barn Hill. So we, as part of that kind of training course, we opened up an old picnic area that had become overgrown. And there was quite a lot of kind of community buyback from that as well. More fundraising events for TTA events. So moving on to September, we put 11 new trail coordinators through the duck training module. I think we were either the first or second trail association in Scotland to do that. So that meant that we then had 11, we've now got 11 trail coordinators who are qualified to host a big day and to conduct trail maintenance, trail inspection, all that sort of thing. Also in September, we did some kind of drainage works and vegetation management on roadside attraction in Dukeney as part of that duck training course, because we had opened it up the year before and it was pretty boggy. So that has actually worked really well, doing those works along with the training module. We had more meetings to discuss funding and logistics for upcoming events and to enrol our new treasurer, Michael Klein. We had a series of dig days at Pitmedden to remove rotten wood. Well, there was a rotten wooden bridge on a trail called the River runs through it, and it was starting to collapse. So what we did was we took that away, we piped the burn, and then we made a stone causeway there to make that safer and more sustainable. And then we rerouted a couple of dangerous exits on a trail called 5050 and Wormhole. So that was pretty good because the work we did there, we got rid of 2 dodgy exits. The trails were absolutely crap. They were sodden and they weren't draining very well. So not only did we get rid of 2 exits for the forestry, for FLS, but we also gained some much longer and better trail as a result of that. So that was a win-win. Also in September, we kind of carried on promoting and organising. We had a Red Bull Rampage fundraiser night which was held at the Culloch Brewery. So we kind of started that at the end of September. Okay, so moving on to October. Told you we'd been busy, eh? Right, so moving on to October. The newly rerouted, we called the two trails that we fixed at Pitmedden the month before, we called them tapeworm. So after a wee kind of bedding in period of a few weeks, we opened that trail up, and it's proved to be really popular. We actually also in October we met here at Craigie Hill Golf Club to begin discussions of an on-site trail centre here. So Ian Holden, who's the Canoe and Duchney kind of Perth coordinator for us, he had been approached. I don't know the exact details, but there's an 18-hole golf course there, and they're downsizing it to 9 holes. They're apparently building 250 houses, but as part of the plan, there's a nice bit of forest there, and there's also a cracking big hillside, which they've decided would be really nice for a machine-built flow trail. And there's a scope to have some more, kind of pump tracks and stuff like that. So we started discussions with them about that, and it's evolving. Also in October, continuous meetings and logistics to working out what we were going to do for the Red Bull Rampage fundraiser. Also in October, we held the Rampage fundraiser at Culloch Brewery in Perth. It was a huge success. The place was absolutely rammed, and I think we raised about £1,400 for the TTA. So it was a huge success. That. Also in October, we had a post-work site meeting with FLS at Pitmedden, basically just to inspect the trail that we had, the trails that we'd closed and the trail that we'd opened. And that was all really well received by FLS. And then we started discussing renewal of our kind of agreement that we have between the TTA and FLS for dig days. Okay, so November. God, we have been busy. Right, so November, myself and Adam went to the Scottish Mountain Bike Conference in Aberdeen. We just paid for it ourselves because we were going for a jolly anyway.
You're good guys.
It's okay. So, but it resulted in kind of potential collaborations with Trash Free Trails just after a few beers and a few games of pool and whatever. Develop a mountain bike in Scotland.
Just a couple.
And other trail associations. So it was a really good few days that just helps to kind of find out what everybody else is up to and what all the plans are. So in November we had a second meeting here to discuss development of the trail centre. We did some trail clearing, and you cleared under the bridge at Dunkeld near, what's the one?
Up near Ladywell.
Ladywell, that's it. And then we had the TTA were represented at a Canoe Hill Woodland Park user group committee meeting by Ian Holden. So it's quite good that we're kind of in with that with other user groups as well. Okay, so moving on to December, we put 4 trail coordinators through a Lantra chainsaw cross-cutting course. So we've now got 4 of us have now got tickets, just basic cross-cutting chainsaw tickets. But it's the first step on to eventually getting windblow tickets and eventually hopefully being able to actually clear storm damage and things. So we just can't do that just now. We don't have all the
Already we've been contacted in Dunkeld by a few locals, not just bike riders but walkers, about trees being down on core paths, trails, all sorts of stuff. And if it's down enough, then we can go and have a look at it, or at least liaise with the landowner. But that's already proved to be pretty successful.
So that's probably that's a big thing, I would say, for the trail associations at the moment. It's really difficult, like all the storms we had last year. It's pretty much impossible for us to go and clear all of that stuff. We're just not allowed to do it. We're allowed to go and, you know, log all the storm damage, and you do all that and give them the coordinates, and then you wait, and not a lot happens, you know. So that's the dream, is to have all the tickets, all the insurance, and be able to just say, like, this, can we go and do this, and be allowed to do it. Okay, so what else? So we're still in December. We started kind of planning for this On Your Bike event that we're going to be hosting next month up in down at the South Inch and up at Dukeney. So obviously there's a lot of stuff, you know, in permissions process, meetings, contractors, marketing plans, funding applications, health and safety, just totally grown arms and legs, hasn't it? But anyway, it's going to be amazing. So also December, we had dig days at Dukeney and Pitmedden, kind of focusing on overgrown vegetation, really clearing, opening up sight lines, exits, trail exits, just improving drainage on popular trails. So then we had Christmas and New Year, and back in January, Mike organised a kind of Pitmedden dig week on the Sawmill Woods downhill trails at Pitmedden. And then we kind of worked on tapeworm just to improve a couple of bits of drainage that weren't really working there. So we had a good sign up for that, eh?
Yeah, no, it was kind of the Pitmedden Trail. I don't know how many of you use them, but they're getting quite overused now. What used to be prior to COVID, 4, 5, 6 people at a weekend is now 50 people at a weekend. So they're all quite natural trails, and they're getting ridden every single week, regardless of the weather. So especially the Sawmill Steeps, so to speak, they get hiding, and it's becoming evident we're going to need to really look after those trails from a visual perspective. They've been a mess, just mud everywhere, and also for water damage issues as a whole for the forestry. So the whole point of that kind of 5 days I kind of organised, I think it was, or 4 days, was to bring people in as a community. And so it's not just the whole trail coordinator thing. It's not like it's my patch or anything like that. It's like it's everybody's patch. So if everybody can start coming in and feel a part of the process by doing like a dig week, with it being off on a holiday with the Christmas, it just allowed for people to come in and do that. So people signed up. We had about 4 people a day, and I think the first day we had about 8, wasn't it? Something like that. Then after that it was just 4, and it worked really well. I couldn't believe the amount of work that we got done working together as a team. So that was really useful, and I had a heap of people going away feeling like they were part of the community that rides at Pitmedden. So it's more people then caring about it, and that's the important bit for me anyway. So.
Yeah, no, it was a big success, that. Right, what else did we do? Yeah, so then we also had a Dukeney dig day in January, just improving drainage and sight lines on Blair Witch, which is kind of another popular trail, really. Then we had a video call between all of the kind of Scottish trail associations, just discussing problems that we've all got as trail associations, and, you know, I suppose issues and barriers that we're facing. Just chatting how we're all getting on, and how we can help each other, and how we can maybe collaborate. So then moving on to February, so coming back to Craigie Hill, we've kind of had further contact from Craigie Hill, just advising. So what we've done is we've got a kind of agreement between Tayside Trail Association and Forestry Land Scotland to allow us to do dig days. So we've used that kind of template, and we can now use that rough template for private landowners and things like that. So that's what we did. We showed them the agreement, or the kind of wording of that, and now that they're tidying that up, and hopefully it'll be signed off by their lawyers. So it's still moving forward here. It's a long-term plan. It's probably, I don't know, maybe within 5 years there'll be hopefully a set of trails. And the good thing is, well, it's a longer term plan, but there is there's a linking path that goes right over to St Magdalene's Hill. So there's an old mountain board track over there and a bunch of jumps and stuff like that. So the ideal thing would be basically to have cracking set of trails in here. Obviously good facilities to be able to link it with St Magdalene's. We've kind of chatted to Bethington North Council about potentially having some sort of maintenance agreement in there and maybe resurrecting that. So it could be pretty cool to have right in Perth. So anyway, that's ongoing. Okay, also in February, TTA volunteers. So up at Duchney, they rerouted a climb. Basically, the kind of main horrible boggy climb that takes you to the top of all of the downhills in Duchney. So that's been totally rerouted just to make it a wee bit more rideable and a bit more weatherproof, hopefully. Yeah, in Keld, there was works to improve drainage and just a bit of kind of vegetation management out on Kilmarnock 1, 2 and 3.
Yeah, just to jump in there, that was only thanks to a lot of people that helped that made that happen, but we got permission from Robin at FLS to access an old sort of quarry borrow pit that was up there eventually, and he was happy with how it turned out, and he said that we can use it in the future as well. So whenever we need access to rock without having to go and hunt for it amongst the woods, we can go and access it and stick it in the back of some vehicles and then drop it off at other trails to help with drainage and stuff, which saved a whole load of time. Took a while to get set up, but he's happy with the process now. So
yeah, nothing happens quickly. We're getting there. We're getting there. You could just stop.
Oh, well, yeah, in terms of some stuff taking ages. So we've also now got a contract, about to get our signed contract with Athol Estates, finally. So that's the other main landowner in Dunkeld, obviously a massive landowner in all of Scotland. That took 5 years of me asking them and various different people at Athol to work with us as a trail association. We didn't have to go to them, but eventually they realized that bikers aren't going away, and saw some sense in working with the trail association. So I was up there with 5 different people from Athol Estates, right up to the top, explaining what a trail association does, why it's a good idea to work with a trail association, all that spiel. The whole managing wild trails document came out and all that kind of stuff. So we're now exchanging our MOU and constitution. They're going to send us their logging plans and forest management documents, so we can then work out what trails we can manage, save, look after, or in theory, as they're wanting to promote their accommodation, trails that could go from their accommodation and access other areas, so as in new trails. So that's quite a positive one as well. So baby steps initially, but that was 5 years, finally them saying yes, we're happy to work with us. So that's been good. That was good. Yeah, and the other one is the course that I'm on. So that is an entire educational year in trail design, construction and maintenance. So just about to start the 3rd semester of that. It's not all building 60-foot step downs. There's a lot of best practice that filters down to doing stuff with trail associations, hand dug stuff. But off the back of that, we were able to, and just finalising it at the moment, but get a trade account with Fiskars that make all of your orange loppers and all that kind of stuff, and Spear and Jackson that make really good spades and other digging tools. So once we get that set up, then that'll be an extra cheap form of tools for a trail association and other trail associations when they realise the benefit of that as well. So that was all pretty positive, really. And the other one I'm trying to get hold of is a product called Dustex, which, if it's new to a lot of people, it was new to me up until a couple of months ago. Essentially, it's made from pine resin and it's a soil stabilizer. But it can turn a Scottish berm into a hard packed berm that would leave skid marks. It's that solid, like you can skid on it. So it comes in a liquid and a powder form. When we were away, it was dust suppression, so it's liquid form and it's massively diluted in a 1,000-litre IBC tank, and it's for big trail projects. But you can get it in powder form, and then as a trail association, you can, because it's USDA approved and so on, you can go and you can put it on some berms and kind of sculpted features to help look after them when the weather turns pretty crap. But it turns it pretty rock solid. So I was chatting to them day before yesterday about how much that would be, and whether they'd be willing to support us as a trail association as well. So could be cool. We'll see. We're not going to put IBC tanks at the top of every hill, but
Yes,
we can get it in there. Maybe we are.
Do heli drops.
Heli drop it or just blanket everything.
Right. Okay. So
Now, you said the whole way through this it takes so long to do. That's 1 year that we.
yeah, this is a year of right, and it's voluntary work. Like nobody's getting paid for any of this. So it's an enormous amount of work, and I suppose that's the whole point. The more people we get involved, the more we spread the work out, because it is a lot of work between just a wee group. And having, yourselves, we probably took on, I suppose, maybe kind of 4, 6 kind of really active people last year, and it's made a huge difference. Okay, so just keep rattling through this. Don't worry, we're in February now. Nearly there. So February, put my head in, don't send it. Reopened after a kind of 8-week rest period, 4 weeks.
Yeah, just the basic decision was made to put signs up to say, can you please not ride it? Just to allow the work to bed in, because it was winter time. I was hoping to have a lot of rain, and it hasn't. So it hasn't bedded in amazingly well, but stuff we did at the beginning, 2 large berms, they bedded in really well because they've been there for 8 weeks bedding in, and then I've just been going in every other day to just kind of do work on it. So I was about to cover a point here. So basically it got reopened when I was happy everything was bedded in. And I decided to put in a chicken ramp for a feature to save people having a chicken run round the feature. They could just roll through the feature. And it's been picked up by the FLS, has not really been up to scratch, because it's the use of wood at the end of the day as the down ramp, which is the last thing that they really want in. In that instance, it's maybe okay, but in the bigger picture, if other people are wanting to build trails and they're seeing that wood's being used in this instance, or it must be okay to use wood in every instance, and that's not the case. It isn't. Just basically for the rotting part of it, and somebody has to maintain that wood at some point, whether it be 20 years or 5 years. Somebody has to maintain it. Plus, it also runs the risk of people trying to putting stakes in and nails and stuff like that as well to keep things fixed together. Whereas rock will do all that. It's just a case of effort to get the rock there, and that's put my hand up for basically getting to a point where I just wanted it done and used logs. So tomorrow it's going to get basically removed, and rock will be getting put into place with a couple of helping hands. So is that what you're after saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, it was a great bit of work, but no, you nailed it there. Right, what else? Put my head in February. Yeah, basically, we made Mike has made quite a few attempts to avoid downhill trails for crisscrossing. There's just tons of trails everywhere on that Sawmill Woods.
Yeah, there's a lot of historic trails at Pitmead, and that part of the forest there has maybe 12 trails, I think it is, and only 4 are getting a real hard use. And there's a lot of kind of older trails. So when a shut don't send it for that period, people were then migrating to find other trails to use. So they found all these kind of older downhill tracks that have been there since time immemorial, but because they all run quite close to each other, basically the issue is people start going from one trail into the next rather than following the trail down, which has created several crossing over points and Strava lines. So I've kind of taken it upon myself to try and minimise that. because from a liability point of view, it's just not great, and it looks messy, and it creates water damage that's not needed. So I'm trying not to get precious about it. So we'll see how that goes.
Right. Yeah, so we'll just continue to monitor all of that. Okay, Canoe and Jukney Trail Crew. So this was just at the weekend there. We went up and we cut back the overgrown vegetation along the Jukney Fire Road. That's basically just to provide space for vehicles parking at the On Your Bike event next month, because there's just no parking anywhere in oh shit, it's this month. Yeah, it's this month. So that was fine. So we were pretty busy doing that this weekend, cutting back all the gorse and self-seeded trees and whatever. Oh, we also replaced, there's a wee bit that's going to be a kind of MTB, one of our MTB demo loops at that event. It's where an old Land Rover was dumped, whatever, 40 years ago, and it was just a horrible wee boggy crossing, and people had fired a load of logs in. It was well dodgy. So we ripped that out and put some big pipes in there and made a stone causeway there. So that's everybody's going to benefit for that, because it's a really popular dog walking bit as well. Finally, this is the last bit of the update. So this is from Barlow. You probably just do that.
Yeah. Just a wee quick one. Basically, again, just like everything, it just takes a lot of time to do everything. I basically fell off the bandwagon for a while, just been very busy with all sorts. And when we did a big shout out for folk to help, Graham Berry came forward and has really helped to kind of push Barlow on. So we're now at a point that Graham's kind of background and kind of surveying and engineering has helped we've managed to kind of survey and kind of look over all the trails, excluding all the forestry paths. There are about kind of 50 tracks at Barlow. I mean, some of them are tiny if you look in trail forks, but anyway, all of those for a very small space, we've kind of managed to get on top of that, and we're basically working through with forestry the ones that we're kind of managing properly, and the big one is trying to come up with a plan with forestry to create an uphill that is not a bog. If you've been to Barlow in the last 2 years, so that's a biggie, and a borrow pit, which we have, again, similar to Adam. We're needing permission, and it's just very slow progress. It will happen, but that's pretty much our focus with our main kind of public dig days, is to really get a very good climb to the top of Barlow that can withstand acoustic and electric bikes. On a, like everywhere, it's all busy, but yeah, I mean, in terms of volunteer dig days, I mean, people, like most trails, are out digging. Barlow volunteers, the folk that have come forward and told us, we had about 300 hours recorded across the hill. It's a lot of hours. There are definitely hundreds more, but from people that do come back and say to us, this is what we've done, and share pictures, it's great. But and that's what we kind of plan to do. It's kind of keeping it in small groups until we have a big project like the bog fixing, the new line to the top. But yeah, again, we've got enough trails at Barlow. It's just about bringing them all back to life and getting them good. And I think everyone now is on that wavelength, because we don't really have much space to build any new trails. I think the only space is going into one of those protected wildlife areas, which I think Robin might stand in the way of that. But anyway, that's not going to happen. So yeah, most trails have been inspected and surveyed, and yeah, we now have 2 Barlow trail coordinators, and I'm sure we'll get more in the future. But yeah, onwards and upwards.
So I think that's us. I mean, that's all we've done in the last 12 months. Really, not a lot. Only about half an hour's worth. So, anyway. Nah. So, and obviously that is the short bit. Like, that's me trying to just get to the details. There's a lot of. Well, I'll not even get into the phone calls I had with PayPal when they kept shutting the account. But anyway, so that's us up to speed. What else we got? Let's move on to, has anybody got any questions on any of that actually at the moment? Or is it, no? Or we'll just have a blather later on, but, okay, so moving on. And I put this agenda together, by the way, so it's probably not great, but we'll just rattle through it. So, current challenges for the TTA. Basically, I mean, we're just a small team, so we really don't have that many people. Penny's helped us with a bit of fundraising, and I mean, we just kind of muck in and do what we can. We've got Blair and Claire, they've both helped us to do social media this year. Really, that is one of the main challenges, is just having just a small amount of people, and you can only do so much of that when you've got real jobs. Well, some people have got real jobs, you know, and we're all busy with families and stuff like that. So I would say that's the main challenge is just the limited amount of people. Another challenge that we have got is that we're not allowed to use power tools on FLS land. And that includes, you know, stringers and whatever. So even though some of us have been trained by Perth and Connaught Council to use pedestrian flails and stuff, that's only valid on PKC land. We're not allowed to use that on FLS land. So obviously, if we could have used it at the weekend, we would have just rattled up those verges, no bother. But actually, there was like 6 of us for 2 days with loppers. And that's what you're up against, really. And that's another reason why things just take a lot longer than they could.
Is that something that could be worked through with FLS? Because obviously they have contractors who use this stuff. So is there just a level of training that needs to happen?
100%. Yeah. I mean, it is just that. And obviously that comes down to money, you know, and so I suppose there's more than one issue there, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, we could all get trained up to the level that they need and have the level of insurance that they need, and we'd probably need to have specific type pool. You know, it's quite bureaucratic, but it's totally possible. There's nothing to stop the TTA from being an approved FLS contractor. I suppose that's the goal, you know, eventually. But it's just you have to do it all in steps. You know, it's like we had to set up a website. That was more important than so hopefully over the next few years these will be steps we're aiming for. You know. Right, what's another problem that we've got, or another kind of issue? Yeah, so obviously we're self-funded, so we need money for insurance. Tools, we've been pretty lucky. We've had a few people donate to us, so we've managed to buy tools, but we've broken a few already. PPE, that's been pretty good. We've got our PPE now, so we shouldn't really have to buy that. Maybe just a few sets of gloves and things. But we do need money. We're kind of self-funded, so that's why we set up obviously the PayPal account and all this to take. And we've got your signage on trailheads now as well. So we're probably earning about, maybe about £4 a month at the moment. So that's pretty good. So if anybody's listening, feel free to just donate a couple of quid. It really does help. Okay, another issue we've got is, I suppose it comes back to having a small team, is we just can't capitalise on all these opportunities that we're constantly being thrown opportunities like here, like Bertha Park, you know, the builders down there were saying, oh, it'd be great to put this bit of land out to mountain biking, or maybe a pump track. It's like, it would, yeah, I know it would, but we're kind of struggling. So I suppose these are out with the remit a wee bit as the Trail Association. So there's tons of opportunities there, but we just can't even capitalise on them all. So there's probably a few reasons for that.
this was a contract thing, there's another opportunity to act as middlemen. So if you get approached, speak to Vino and whoever makes a contract and just say, you know, for a fee, we pass on business to you, since we don't build contracts. You know, just another.
Potentially.
I mean,
Yeah.
there is really, yeah. I suppose again, it just comes into having time to facilitate all of that
Yeah.
for free, you know, out from out of your own time. It all just takes time, and we've not got a specific person that sits and answers all the emails, you know, all the emails come into one Gmail account, and there's probably 6 of us look at it, and we all hope that somebody else is going to answer the email, you know. So it's like, these are just things that we need to get in place. So but absolutely, it kind of makes sense to have these things in place and these kind of protocols and stuff, and tie in with, I mean, obviously, so Adam's doing his stuff, you know, trail designer course. I suppose that's what you need, is to Wheeler Trail Association, but you've also got a contractor that could do the stuff that's kind of out with remit, you know, and you could just automatically go to them.
Well,
Yeah.
I was thinking more just like almost you just facilitating the movement of the request from, if a developer comes to you and says we'd like a contract, you know, you've got, you know, whoever company makes a contract, you just have an agreement that if we pass on these inquiries we get, as we do, literally pass it on.
I guess the thing
It's
with
their job, it's their company to build a contract, and you just take a commission cut, like you say, every pound helps.
well, we could definitely do it. I think the thing with here, which is kind of the main one that we've been approached and been involved with in terms of building a pump track, was that they saw us as a volunteer group that would maintain trails for free, and thought they could have bike trails for free. That was their initial first meeting, was, so what are you gonna do for no money up there, you know? And as soon as we said, right, well, it could be 350 grand if you want a pump track, whoever builds it, that's a whole different conversation. But yeah, I mean, we've got the contacts with CRC and Velo Solutions, and it's a fairly positive kind of network of people. What a lot of residential projects like this want is that they have the civils team that can use the machines. They need a trail designer to tell them exactly how to build the biking bit, as opposed to a landowner that has none of that and would go to CRC and do a full built project. But yeah, with here it was like, actually, no, we're not going to build all these trails for free. Now we haven't got the time to do it, and we don't build. You know, it was a interesting first couple of conversations, really, and that was the
We
same.
started off thinking, yeah, we're going to build a load of trails for free. That's what we did. We were like, yeah, we could just scratch a line in there, and that could be your red, and it just, the further and further you go into it, you're like, it's a much bigger project than just scraping in a few lines, you know. When you're doing it for a landowner, there's a load of, I suppose, a load of responsibility there with signage and just trail grading.
Yeah, that's what I
and-
said, you just pass
Send it
that
on.
to someone,
Yeah.
who does, someone else, who
Yeah.
does, but just make some money from the train association.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only talking for myself. I suppose that makes total sense, but you're so busy doing all of this stuff in your spare time, and obviously there's a big event coming up, and there's just so much going on. It's difficult. No, I know, I'm just trying.
If anything, it would
explain.
save us time, because we can just, if those kinds of inquiries come in, we can just go, there you go.
Yeah.
Exactly. But that's part of why I'm doing the course, is to potentially be that point of contact to make some of that happen. But yeah, we know the right people to talk to if it's just a case of,
No, it makes absolute sense to
Trying
do
to
that,
take
like.
trying to take the time to actually make sure you got a cut as well,
Yeah.
you know, because Claudio's got a big cut available, and I'm not sure he wants to give up any of that.
What else?
Sorry,
I suppose
guys,
the
can
last
I
thing
ask a question quick?
kind of limited on the amount of dig days that we can have. I would say it's probably due to the number of trail coordinators that we've got that have been through the course. But it's also because there's a lot of other stuff other than digging that has to be done. And you're kind of like, okay, right, well, we need to do that at the moment, and we need to do this, and we're having the event, you can concentrate on that. So it's just prioritising, really, prioritising your time. And I suppose that's one of the dangers, is that we set this up to basically fix up the trails. And because there's so many other opportunities there, and it's kind of, I suppose it's tempting to get carried away with stuff, you know, and before you know it, you're not actually just fixing berms and, you know, fixing drainage and stuff. So it's finding that balance between growing and being professional and whatever, and actually just having more dig days and forgetting about all the kind of frilly stuff. So, right, so that's all the moaning out of the way. So number 4 was just an update on your bike, which is the event that we're doing this month, later this month. Do you want to do your update on that? Or?
And then you can take over some. So this year, Cycling World Championships coming to Scotland, and there was funding released to Visit Scotland for community cycling events. And as a trail association, Aaron applied and got just under about 11 grand through that, and then we got just under 3 grand from Britain Kinross Council to put on. It started off as a small event up in Craigie Hill, but we've now expanded it. So the purpose of the event is to get new people into bikes. We all bike, but it's to get new people into cycling from your minority groups. It's get kids on, get minority groups and people that just don't cycle, give them the opportunity to come and try out the sport for free. So that's why we sort of moved the event on Saturday down into Perth itself. And we're integrating lots of different types of cycling. So we've got road bikers coming. Breeze are going to do a guided ride. Sustrans, Neil's here tonight. He's going to come along with a cycle cinema and do a little free learning area, skills area. Down there, Aaron's going to have the pump track. We've got the clan coming, which is going to be a massive showstopper, and hopefully be that sort of inspiration for the kids to then go on the pump track and ride like those guys. We've got e-bike rides up into Canoe. We've got guided rides, like bikeability, so basic level, just building confidence. Parents can go with their kids, or adults that are just getting their confidence back or wanting to learn how to ride on the roads and get their skills up around that. The police are coming to do bike tagging for free for the security aspect, and we've got Doctor Bike there as well. The farmers market's on that day too, which will bring us a good audience, and then we've got the big bike jumble sale. So for those of you that got loads of kicking about, group together if you want. We've got the tickets are on sale for us. The only thing you have to pay for the event is to have a car pitch on the Saturday to sell some of your second-hand kit. It's £10, money goes straight into the association, and it's a great opportunity again for those minority groups. If you want to come, you know, get into cycling and then come and buy some second-hand kit, it's a lot cheaper. And the bike stations are going to be there too, selling second-hand gear. And there's probably other things happening that off the top of my head I can't remember.
E-bike guided rides?
I've said that.
Oh, you've said that.
And then the Sunday is going to be a mega day, probably more interest for you guys. And I'll let Aaron talk.
It was just to keep it, I was conscious that we had to keep it relevant to the Trail Association as well as obviously that. So these are kind of extra boxes to tick, really. So it's grown arms and legs. So we've got tons. It's going to be a big demo day. We'll have 2 demo loops marked out, kind of like an intermediate and an advanced one. Tons of manufacturers coming. So we've got Mondraker, Trek, DVA, Bird Cycles, Forestal. We've got Orange Bikes, tons. And you can it's all free. So you just rock up on the day. They've got all different bikes, normal mountain bikes, high-end stuff. They've got e-bikes. So that's the demo day. Then we've got a teen dig day, which is basically to get, it's a dig day to fix up one of the downhill trails at Dukeney. It's for under 18s. It'll be led by Camille and Dukeney Trail Crew. It's basically to try and engage, you know, under 18s who are probably digging trails where they shouldn't be digging them, building jumps through badger sets and whatever. And it's just, hopefully riders that aren't in bike clubs and stuff like that. So it's to hopefully attract these guys and just show them that there actually is a vehicle to, of course you can come and dig, but you have to dig with us and we'll show you how to do it properly and we'll build a sick jump that we'll do it here. And so that's the teen dig day. Then we've also got, so we've got a set of Fox 38 Fox to win. That's going to be like a photo competition, best photo of the day in the bike park. We'll have some professional photographers there. It'll be from 12 till 3, the sickest jump, the biggest whip, the funniest face, whatever it is, the dodgiest outfit, whatever the photographers, they'll whittle it down to maybe the top 10 of the day. And then we're going to put it out on the social media after the event, a public vote. And whoever wins the best photo gets a Fox 38 Fox, which is worth about 1,200 quid. What else are we doing that day? Coaching. So skills coaching. So Comrie Croft Bikes bringing the Flow School coaches, and they'll be in the bike park all day, and it'll be that'll be free. So it'll just be a free for all in the bike park. But if you want to opt in and get a wee bit of skills coaching, you just look out for the Flow School coaches who'll be there, and they can give you some free trips and tips. I always say trips and tips. What is it? Tips and tricks. Anyway, they'll do some coaching.
There's guided rides as well, again, sort of lots of the linking in the Saturday, so attracting people up. So we've got a parent and child ride, we've got female only led ride, and this is all sort of novice level. But mixed rides, and we do have an intermediate ride going out as well in the afternoon. And they're all links are now live on Benefit to sign up. There's quite a lot of social media today.
And we do have we've got adaptive bikes as well on both days, haven't we? We've got
Well, definitely on the Saturday we've tied up the Dundee Dragons on the back to go around the south end, and you can go along Tay Street and into the north end. I think Adam's got one triker.
Yep.
We'll have one available. It's yeah.
So basically, we've ticked every single box you could possibly tick. So that's that.
On the Sunday, if you're coming, there's within the forestry hut, there's going to be coffee and cake available with donations. But if you're wanting a proper feed, take sandwiches. But if it needs to be,
I think in time that's yourself.
Oh, is that yourself?
Yeah. I think Ian was chasing me to get some documents to you, but we'll get it all sorted in time. So.
Yeah. And on the Saturday, there's lots of, we've got one big vendor, but farmers markets.
So if anybody's available on the 25th or 26th of March to help out, just give us a shout, because we'll need help from everything from like car parking to just marshalling in the bike park, and we'll definitely need help if anybody's free on the 25th or 26th of March. Right, moving on to upcoming dig trail days. So we've kind of covered the Barlow one. So the plan is basically to improve drainage works on the main climb. That's the biggie really for
Yeah,
Barlow,
it's
right?
just getting the go ahead with Robin, who's meant to be meeting us on site to see what needs done before we can put a date out there. But yeah, that's the priority.
Pitmaiden, we're planning to have some community dig days in April, and we'll probably concentrate just on kind of improving all the popular trails.
Yeah, there'll be no building of anything. It will be a case of just cleaning up stuff, chopping the edges of things that are knackered, and yeah, just to clean up and just to get people involved and feel part of the process.
So that's in April at Pitmaiden. Dunkeld, we're gonna, that was the ahead of the Enduro.
Yeah, so we've got our Enduro second weekend of May, and there will obviously be lots of digging that's going to be happening in advance, maintaining existing trails and tweaking a few bits and pieces. There'll be various dig days happening, daytime, evening, weekends, all times of the day and night. So there will be various posts going out to try and get some support with that. We're also going to tie into one of the Earth Trash Free Trail / Earth Day events as well. Similar to the Take Care of Your Trails stuff that's happened last year and will be happening again this year. Just to make a bit more of a bigger event of it and try and get some more support for that. But it's taken a while to get the actual trails finalized with Robin and Athol and so on. So yeah, now we have a bit of a plan as to what trails are going to be used. We can then work out a dig day plan for that. But watch this space. But there'll be plenty of work to be done.
Just in case anyone wants to know, Robin is kind of the head forestry guy we deal with. Just in case anyone's wondering who Robin is.
Who Robin is.
Mythical character.
Yeah.
He is God.
Right, so then we've got, what else have we got? So we're going to try and tie in a wee bit more with trash free trails. We always do like a litter pick and whatever else, but we don't really make it, I suppose it's not officialised in any way. But we always pick litter up when we're out and about. So they've got a few particular days that we're going to try and tie in with, which is Earth Day on the 22nd of April, World Environment Day on the 5th of June, World Clean-up Day on the 16th of September, and then they're doing a load of Halloween trail cleans from the 28th to the 31st of October. So we're going to kind of aim to try and tie in with these particular days. And then there's IMBA Europe's Take Care of Your Trails, which is the whole of May. So we'll try and do dig days at each one of our patches in May, which would be Medden, Canoe, Barrow and Dunkeld. Right, so moving on to potential future developments, or at least kind of, I suppose, opportunities that have either cropped up or might crop up. So I don't know if anybody knows, we've chatted about this with FLS, and I suppose the plan is pretty much kind of accepted. We've got to tick a load of boxes, but we're hoping to extend Dukeney Bike Park right the way down to Jubilee Car Park, which would be pretty cool. We've got so we opened up the, it was 2 years ago, we opened up the, is it called roadside attraction? No, it was last year, right? So we opened up roadside attraction last year. And the line is absolutely lovely, but the surface isn't great. But the plan is to roughly use that line eventually and extend the bike park onto that. So it would probably come off the very last berm in the bike park, and it would head off left, and then you'd be able to carry the bike park, keep riding the bike park right to the bottom, which would solve a load of kind of crisscrossing, a lot of bike riders fleeing down the fire road. It would solve a lot of problems, but obviously there's so many boxes to tick with that. There's a lot of money to raise. It's going to be more money than we've got at the moment anyway. So it's a big project. And again, if we had more people involved, we could just make that their thing, that they would look into funding pots and whatever. It would definitely happen because the forestry are really keen for it, but we just can't take every opportunity at the moment. So we'll have to just put that in the back burner for a wee while. Next potential opportunity is up here, which can I explain to you that's ongoing. Another one was, I kind of touched on that earlier, was Bertha Park, pump track and mountain bike skills area where they're building a load of houses. Again, it's bubbling away. Don't know if it's gone that far yet, but they are keen for it. So we'll just kind of keep let that conversation carry on. The other one, not really been that involved in this, but I suppose probably a lot of you have maybe seen Auchengarach, Wildlife Centre up in Comrie, put a thing up on their social media saying they would like somebody to maybe start a mountain bike business up there, build a bunch of trails and have a business there. Like I say, no really heard people that have been and chatted to them and stuff like that, but it's not really something I'd think we'll get involved in. because we're just the association doing it for free, and it sounds like it's a business opportunity. The other thing that's kind of is always mentioned, and people always kind of get in touch with us about it, is whether we could bring on new patches under the TTA. So when we started this off, I mean, we've been constituted since 2020, but we've really been on the go for a good few years before that, haven't we? And because at the time we started, I was organising the Medon races. Adam was organising, or helping to organise the Dunkeld Enduro. Grant was doing the Ballo Enduro, and Ian was Tayside coach. So we were all kind of heavily involved in organising races, and we all had a relationship with the Forestry and Land Scotland. So it made sense to just keep everything in-house, just because we trusted each other. We kind of knew we all got on all right with FLS and whatever. So we were keen to not take on extra patches. So basically we had Ballo, Dunkeld. I suppose I was kind of put Medon and Canoe with the Fair City Enduro, and then Ian was Canoe. So that was the four patches we decided to just stick with. But there's conversations keep popping up, the likes of, you know, yourself at Weem. There's just there's Pitlochry with Ben Cathrow's track. We've had conversations about potentially Glen Sherritt, you know, that kind of maybe becoming one of our patches. I suppose the difficult thing with that is, like, you really need a real core of people in each of these areas to really, like, say, like, we're definitely, this is ours now, you know, we're definitely going to do this, but there doesn't seem to be that in some of these areas, and I think we're still kind of finding our feet a wee bit.
Yeah, I think some of it also comes down to the landowners that are there and what their views are. So initially, Robin just wanted to see how we got on with our own areas before we started bringing in other areas. He wanted to make sure that we knew what we were doing, that our procedures were in place, which they are now, but that still doesn't mean we can just drop them in another area. There could be other issues there, other residents, other landowners involved, and the people that are building trails there might not be as keen to work with a trail association, might not have the best working relationship with that landowner, a whole range of things. So just because we know an area is great for biking and there's a dozen that have approached us, or we've approached them, or someone has said, have you heard about this area? Yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean that even if we had the time that it could necessarily be set up straight away. Yeah, there's ways to do it, but sometimes it comes down to what the landowner wants to do. And I've spent hours talking to landowners that aren't on our patch at all, explaining to them why it would be a good idea for them to work with the local trail builders and how we could then they could then become part of our trail association, all this kind of stuff off my own back, just for them to turn around and go, actually, nah, we're just going to flatten it, thanks. And that was the end of it.
We're in a slightly different situation to a few of the other places, but I've been speaking to Robin, and I am the landowner, it's not the forestry. So this is Glassy Bike Park. So we could easily slot in to that because we've got the backing of the landowner, me, and we already work with Robin. So, and he's suggesting that we tie up and become an official member with yourselves. That's his words.
Is it? I mean, that makes total sense, really. I mean, what I've heard off the back of that is are a few concerns because your land is surrounded by FLS land. That's the concerns we've heard, and I suppose we just have to have a conversation about it. No for Robin, no. So, but obviously, I suppose it's for, you know, your neighbours and stuff like that. You know, there's concerns about all of that. But I think
that landowner I spoke to was up your way, and I did my very best to try and save it. And she turned around and went, "Actually, no, we don't want." It was one of the ones that Ray had put in. And it was an amazing trail. It was well built, and it was more. Yeah, and
Yeah.
as far as landowners are concerned, obviously this is a specific issue, but there are some concepts that make sense where trail builders are under the impression that they have permission to be there. Someone's spoken to someone who said, yeah, crack on. And then an awful lot of work goes in. This is kind of what it boils down to, really, is a lot of work goes into building a trail without being 100% sure that you're allowed to put it there. And then it can end up getting taken out. So the best thing to say, obviously, we're hopefully preaching to the converted here, but is talk to a landowner or talk to a trail association first to save hundreds of hours of.
Had been built for many years before we even started the bike park. So it's just that she didn't know about it until the farmer that rented her ground
Right.
pointed it out. That was the only issue.
Yeah, it's
And-
an unfortunate
and we've
situation.
spoken directly to the farmer, and it's.
What would you like to do, Julian? Would you like to jump in and create a allegiance, if you like, or would you prefer to kind of manage things yourself?
We're trying to get tied up with yourselves purely so that Robin is happier, because he doesn't want all these little fragmented things popping up. He'd prefer Tayside Trail Association, which makes sense. You've got more power, more backing, more input.
Makes sense for it to be under one
Yeah.
umbrella, definitely.
If it worthwhile a proper conversation.
I mean, any complaints that we've had, we've spoken to the people directly as well. Either myself or Sean Quinn, who's also our chairman, because we're set up as a charity for the local community. So, yeah, any issues, we talk to them directly and see their problem, and then we discuss it and see a way forward. It's not as though we're sort of just going in there and saying we're still going to use that trailer.
Yeah.
We don't promote that trailer till.
And that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
about working with people.
I think Robin's now aware, because we met up, 3 years ago up there, because you were up there, I was up there, I think Robin was there.
Yeah.
We had only really just started getting going and finding our own feet, as Aaron said. So hopefully now, we are in a position to, if we've got Robin that's actively trying to kind of
Last time I spoke
restart
to
this
him
dialogue,
face to
then
face, we did sort of say it'd be good to get tied up more so with the Trail Association.
yeah, where we could, we can have a conversation after this or arrange another meeting and
I mean, things have
Go
moved
from
on
there.
since that first meeting,
Yeah.
haven't they? And
Oh,
all
definitely.
round, so maybe we,
Yeah.
we need to have another chat about it all. Make sure everybody's on this, I suppose that was the one concern for me, was just that it's surrounded with forestry land and that Robin might not be up for it, but I think if we can, if they're keen, it makes total sense.
Anytime
doesn't it?
we've approached Robin, we've had a conversation and said yes, no, and we've gone on.
Yeah.
that. So,
Brilliant. Well, we'll chat about that then. Right, what else? Oh, now we need to vote for. Now we need to vote for our committee members. Well, I told you I put this in, but I think this is the thing that you have to do.
Yeah.
So, Ian is not here. He's our vice chairman. So I vote for Ian to carry on
I'll
being
second
our
it. Yeah.
chairman. Yeah, we all vote for Ian. Ian, if you're watching, you're roped in for another year.
Just go Ian for chairman.
Aye.
who else isn't here?
Right, well, I vote for you to be treasurer.
Oh, no. Just regarding the treasury thing, just like, I feel like a due diligence thing is kind of necessary with it, because there's a lot of money passing about in the TTA accounts with the on your bike setup that's happening now. So there's you've got a bank account, there's a ledger with all the money, where it's going, how it's getting used. And if anybody wants to look at it, just to see, they'll be bored as anything, but just to see that things have been done right.
Says the treasurer.
Because when I took the treasury thing on, I was expecting £4 a month. Shop money to be dealing with. That's not the case at the moment. But after the on the bike thing, that things should start calming down a bit and be a bit more normal, so.
We'll just go back to the £4 a month donation. that
Donations,
comes in.
yeah.
That's how the role was promoted.
Yes,
Man,
it
it's
was.
£4 a month.
Right, for myself, so I'm the chair at the moment. I was totally ready to just jack it in last year, not jack it in, but step back from the chair role. But having brought everybody else in, it's made a huge difference, and we've just made made up so much ground in the last 12 months. It's been phenomenal, really. But I'm definitely, this is going to be my last year this year. So I would like to say, I'll be chair again this year unless somebody else wants to do it. But we'll be looking for a new chairman this time next year. I think it's just good to keep it rotating and whatever, So is everybody happy for me to be chair for this year, or do you like to be chair?
I'm treasurer, secretary.
Yeah. Right, I'll be chair again for a year then. Does anybody want to be chair next year?
You've got a year to be convinced.
Julian, that's your chance.
Look how much fun he's having though.
No. Right. So that's it. The next thing we're on to is just a Q&A really. Has anybody got anything they want to ask about?
So someone did have a queue. I did give them an A. Rich Breeden messaged on Zoom, although he has had to head off. I'll read it out what he said. Do you guys have a fundraising plan? I'd be up for helping out with some funding applications, funding pots, etc. if that's something you might need a hand with, and any corporate partners. I got back to him a bit like what Mike said, and basically said we've got a plan, and it was all kind of geared up and leading towards on your bike. And once that's done, we'll then kind of reset a little bit and work out what our sort of daily, monthly operating costs are, what our minimum fundraising needs to be, what our future goals will be, and kind of take it from there. But we are always up for having more people that are keen on fundraising, that understand about any aspect of what we're doing, not just fundraising. So as well as questions, if anyone else wants to get involved. Last year, I think we just took a load of people's names, contact details, and any areas that you might specialize in, whether it was fundraising, whether it's social media, whether you're handy on the tools, whether you've got access to mechanized tools, not that we can really use in many places, but anything like that. And that just kind of helps us with our sort of book of people that we can call when we're panicking.
There's a few have arrived. There is another list in front here, so you can get that. People that
Oh, cool. Good stuff. But thanks, Rich, for that. But he has now
Is that a sign-in sheet, or is that just if you want to get involved? Right. So yeah, there's a clipboard at the front. If you've not put your name down and you want involved, pop your name down and your email and phone number and where you live. Anything else?
How much you'd be willing to donate per meter?
We've got a card machine as well.
I think it's a bit woolly as to what exactly what volunteering is it, what we need basically.
That's a good question, really. I suppose we just, what do we need?
We need more trail coordinators. If that's an issue.
I think we need more of everybody, actually. We probably need more of everything. We need more trail coordinators, but obviously that means we need money to put people through the training. I suppose we just need more people to, in my head, we need more people to just say, what do you need a hand with? And we know that they're there, and we can say, well, there's the login details for the email. Can you answer emails for the next month or whatever?
Yeah, for
me, I just think we need more people, but it's hard to say what in particular we need them for.
There was some folks that we had, it was a few years ago actually, when we were getting help with the Enduro, that said, I work for X company, there's so many hundreds of employees, we all do a community day once a year, and a bunch of us are bikers, like, do you want us to come and help out? So I think if people have contacts within that kind of corporate world, whether it's financial, obviously, absolutely, that are willing to support us in some form, whether it's man hours, whether there's a load of them and they do this kind of thing. I mean, we had, I think it was 12 ladies in their 50s working on a trail, and it was fab, you know, for the day. They were just out pruning stuff and digging and doing bits and pieces, and it was fab. They didn't have to have any biking experience whatsoever. It was just hands, just man hours, woman hours, hours. So yes, if anyone's
Bigger speed in the van.
yeah. So yeah, so if anyone has those kinds of contacts or is that kind of person, then definitely get your name down. More than happy to do it. Even if it's a day where we weren't planning on doing something, we can often do something. If you say that there's 12 of us coming down for the day, a bit like when Hotlines came down, we worked our dig days around them. And it was great. The amount of work that you can get done when you've got 12, 15 people is really good.
I'm not sure if this has been the case in Perth necessarily, or sorry, the other venues, but for the big days I've done in Perth, it seems that the turnout's generally pretty good and that the issue's actually been getting the big days organised. Is it just the trail coordinators that can organise the big days basically, that can do the health and safety forums, or could I also help those basically?
As far as the landowners are concerned, or what they're most concerned about, is making sure that it's done right.
Yeah.
And in their eyes, it's the people that are qualified that have filled that in. But we still need help filling in those forms, or being out there on the day, or taping stuff or flagging stuff in advance. That all helps for sure. And even the network of communication with people, even if they're not qualified, that know what they're talking about, can say there's a tree down on this, it needs some work, and then we can start to manage it, because otherwise you can't always trust the feedback that you get from riders. So that'll make a massive difference. I think we could maybe look at running another course this year if we get the funding, depending on what happens at the end of On Your Bike, potentially, if there's future funding there.
It sounds like is it just Ian Holden and Perth that would organise the dig days here basically?
I think Ian could do it, and to be honest, I mean,
Okay.
in Pitmedden was myself and Mike. George Brown's gone through the course as well. But for Ian, he could really do with somebody else. It's a lot to take on just yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose even if you hadn't been through the duck training module, for example,
Yep.
I reckon Ian could walk you through the procedure
Sure.
for the paperwork. And Adam's made a spreadsheet, and it's really simplified things. It's all there. Ian could walk you through all of that, and potentially you could discuss between you what work needed done.
Yeah.
You could wander it, you could update the paperwork and give it to Ian, and he would just look through it and say,
He would just need
bang
the
on.
president of the dig day basically to
Aye.
lead it,
Yeah.
make sure it's
Yeah.
all.
So you're talking about then like a trail coordinator's assistant kind of thing.
It sounds like as much as anything, it's just the admin.
Well,
bringing intent to Ian, it's like
the dirt course.
So
Well, the dirt course is a 2-day course, but the plan at one point was we'd put a bunch of people just through the 1-day course, which is a trail inspector.
okay.
So that meant that you could go out and you could just inspect a load of trails, and then essentially if there was an issue
Yeah.
and it needed to turn into a dig day, then the coordinator would be one of those people that was there. So it might be that if we can't get the funding necessarily for a full 2-day course, we could put a bunch of people just through the inspector course, and that kind of stuff would help.
But I reckon we might have enough money, hopefully after what we're doing over the next few months, we might have enough money to put more people through the duck training, which
How much is this?
well, because I think we were like a second group to get it, so it was almost like a pilot. So it's a 100 and odd quid per person, couple hundred quid at the most.
That's the sort of thing I'd have to be self-fund.
Yeah,
Personal development anyway.
and actually, I mean, that's probably I suppose that's what we need to know, is who's up for that. And I mean, that's what we did last year. It was like, who wants to be a trail coordinator? Who wants to help run a dig day or help us on a dig day? And then we just took a big list of names. There was enough people on it that we filled a course, and then we found out how much it was, and turned out we didn't have enough money to pay everybody, and we were, we'll just pay it ourselves. And that wasn't the plan, but most people were happy to pay it themselves anyway. So maybe we just do that again and just get a bunch more people that, I mean, it's a good thing to do, you know.
I'm sure, don't.
Yeah, no, it's really good fun and everything. If you're into your digging and your riding, it's great fun. And it's just a tick box, and it means we've got more people that could.
Yeah, in terms of our grassroots and what we set up for, then more trail coordinators and more dig days of people organising dig days for what we want to fix, and you know, people that know what needs fixed as well, so that it doesn't just, you know, just go out of control. But yeah, the reality is more coordinators would be helpful.
Makes sense. That's probably the thing we need most of, more trail coordinators.
Yeah, because actually we just got one at Ballow. I think I've just done them. But yeah, the reality is more probably more coordinators in each area would help. And then the more people involved, you know, you don't need to jump on the committee straight away, but then you get an idea of it and you go, actually, it's good fun. We want to help out a bit more, and it's a good way to, you know, to go. And you might find you want to get in the committee and help out a bit more if you have the time. If you don't, it's no big deal.
You might find you want to be the chair.
This time next year.
Okay, your job description.
You know, these forks that are going to be given away, would it not be more cost effective to have a raffle again for that?
So right.
Some of us are still twitching when you say raffle.
So we're having I mean, it probably would, I suppose.
I mean, it's obviously too late now.
What we're doing to try and get a bit of money back for the on the bike thing is, so because we've trimmed all the duty fire roads, that's where everybody's going to park. Each person pays a £5 if they rock up in a car or in a vehicle. Every vehicle pays £5, goes straight into the TTA. We're also in to get a raffle ticket for that £5. So the box aren't in that raffle, but there's like merch and stuff like that. So everybody that pays a £5, they're donating to TTA, they get a raffle ticket, and then everybody that does the photo competition also pays a £5. And gets a number board, and then that enters them into the photo competition for the forks. What else is there? Donations for coffee and tea and cakes. So we're going to suggest £5 for that as well.
And then the bike jumble as well. That'd be making
the bike jumble, So that's a £10 a pitch for that. Or is it £12?
£12 for the first pack. We get £10.
Yeah, so £12 for a pitch, and then that goes straight to the TTA. So
I'll have the boards up. There'll be the opportunity there as much as possible for people to donate with the boards, and it's raising the awareness of the TTA as well. I think the Facebook following the TTA over the last few weeks has really increased. It's building the awareness of it. I think it's been really good through the event and reaching it and just telling the story, and hopefully the donations that we need.
If anybody can share the information about it, it's so difficult because there's a lot in that event. It's so difficult to get every bit of information out. So if anybody can use their social media and whatever to just help share that, especially I suppose for the TTA side of it, if you could share the kind of fundraising side of it, it'd be nice to get as many people paying £5 as possible.
Get Mr. Catherine to get it on Think Bike for years.
Aye, it'd be perfect. Well,
we're hoping Danny was going to sit in and test the booth. But he's not replied.
He hasn't replied. He'd be there if he wasn't busy.
Anything else?
5 to 9. Wanted to wrap up by 9 officially.
That's us done then.
Yeah, any final questions? Fire away. We'll be here for a bit. But a few of the guys asked if 9 was kind of the end. So
did you have something, Julian? You had your hand up earlier.
Just to ask how much the course was.
Right.
Yeah, so I suppose, to go back to that, I think it probably makes sense to train more people up this year to have more trail coordinators. It's the whole point of the TTA is to be fixing up trails and making them run better.
If you are interested in your name not on that list, then scribble it down to make it.
Any more questions?
There's the first aid training that we managed to get money from the council for, and managed to support, and we paid half of four people to do their first aid training. So they're now fully fledged first aiders, which will help out in the hill and during the 50s. And maybe that is what we could offer for the trail coordinators as a contribution towards.
Mhm. Yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot to put that in actually.
And with the last course, the dates for trail coordinator, it's a case of just going to the trainers and seeing what dates we can get. It's not
For
like,
the
for the coordinator training, is it? It's
Aye.
yeah, it's not like set dates. We could basically,
we've figured out, I think it was a month that we figured out we could probably do. And they gave us a bunch of dates.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
We had, so we've got that's something some of you might know. So we've got a WhatsApp group for people that want to be a wee bit more involved in the TTA and just be kept up to date with kind of relevant stuff. So if you want to be added to that group, maybe you could put it down on the sheet there and we'll just add you to the group and you'll just be kept up to date with relevant stuff as we go. But that's what we did, isn't it? We just figured out who wanted to do the training and then we kind of whittled it down to one weekend. I think we maybe had like 15 people interested, but maybe 4 or 5 of them couldn't make it that weekend, so they kind of missed out. So we've still got people that want to train, haven't we?
It's that training where there about 10 or 11 went through in the same course. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could get quite a few people on the same course.
Yeah, I think they said up to 12.
Do you need to be first aid trained to run the trail days as well?
As long as there's a first aid trained person there.
Yeah.
And in fact, as long as there is a trail coordinator at one of these events, if one's going to happen in Perth, it could be that I come up from Dunkeld because no one else is free. Like just because Ian's in charge of an area, other people can still look to run that event. But yeah, more qualified people, the better. What's the age limit? Is it 16 or 18? For the coordinator, probably 18.
18,
yeah.
Right, that is. Well, we'll hang about for a bit. We'll see to you on it.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks very much
Thanks.
for coming.